thank you guys for joining us again, FS Uncut. I'm here with my host, Super Agent Eddie.
Yes, how you doing, fellas?
How you doing, Eddie? And we're joined here by Michael, my FS buddy, and then we're also joined here by someone who works for the BBC, Daniel. So thank you,
Daniel. How are you
today?
Yeah, I'm good. Thanks for inviting me on. As a Villa fan, it's funny to say I'm good. If you'd asked me the question on the weekend,
hang on 1 second.
It's almost certainly not going to be good.
Yeah.
No, it's all good. So obviously we're gonna start off with the Premier League champions. I might say that again, the Premier League champions, the current holders of the Champions League, the current holders of the World Club Championship, the current holders of the Super Cup. You're right, Michael?
just keep going. Just keep going.
Right, you're right, yeah?
Just keep going. Just keep it going. Hurry up, let's do this.
I'll start off with the United fan to talk about the season and what he thinks Klopp and Liverpool have achieved so far. Go on, Mike.
I'll be delighted to talk about that.
The last 2.5 years have been, if I have to admit it, superb. The way he's coming to the club, you look at the first team that he first had, very few names left there, like Milner and Origi, who are now kind of like squad players. They're not the starting players. You can see the players that he's brought in, the talent, the players that he's identified to play the style that fits the football that he wants to play, and the way they are relentless. The thing about Liverpool is, we always talk about the threat of Sadio Mane and Mohamed Salah and obviously Firmino, but then you've also got Trent and Alexander-Arnold, Trent and Robertson, and then you also got Wijnaldum who pops with goals, so that then Fabinho can also hit from long range. They've got like a whole wide range of goal scorers, creators, and the team ethic is great, and that's what you talk about when it comes to all previous Premier League champions. They've all had that sort of caliber of talent, leaders, and so on. As much as it pains me to say it, don't smile like that. Don't do that.
That smile's going to be there all show.
For a very long time.
All summer. No, they deserve all the success they've gotten. They've been dominant. I don't think they've lost at home in 3 years. So much so that when they lost to Watford, the excitement of them losing the Premier League game, I almost remember that when my team used to be dominating and we lost, like everyone will start celebrating. That's the kind of hatred that you want for your club. That's when you know you're successful. That's when you know that you are levels above and everyone is down here.
Yeah.
So, hopefully next season other teams improve so it's not as simple as, this year. But Champions League winners, previous year runners-up, previous year Europa League runners-up, and this year Premier League champions, they deserve all the credit, man. So that's enough from me.
What about you, Eddie?
I think I just have to echo what Mike said. I think, Liverpool being from a Liverpool family, if you like, I'm the only Arsenal fan in my family, and I've got a big family, and everyone is a Liverpool fan, phenomenal and fanatic Liverpool fans. So I think, I also received similar messages to yourself, Mike, when City lost to
Chelsea
the other day. So, I think, look, Liverpool has been a great club. It's a great club. There's no getting around it. And Liverpool's a club that is world-renowned and world-famous, and they've created a style of football long before, the Man Uniteds did before, in the late 90s, early 90s, and Arsenal as well. So they're a huge club. And I think my biggest thing for me was and I was saying this to my brother-in-law, Phil, who, who's a massive, Liverpool fan. And I was just saying to him that the biggest surprise for me has been a club of that size and that stature going 30 years without winning the Premier League, considering the dominance that they've had beforehand with King Kenny, Aldridge, and the likes of those Rush and them kind of players they've had in the past. But it's like with anything, it happens in waves. And I think the best thing that ever happened to Liverpool was getting, Jurgen Klopp still done, getting him in the building. I think what he did, he brought a style of play to football style of football to the team. And, you know, that everybody bought into it, because you can have a great manager, but if people don't buy into the system, it's just going to be, you know, you look at what Jose Mourinho is getting at the moment. It's almost like night and day to the praise he got when he first came into the league. And now people, and it seems that, you know, the jobs he had at Man United, you guys didn't, you know, the Man United players didn't wholeheartedly buy into it. But I think what Jurgen's done is very similar to what Pep's done at City, which is everybody's bought into it to a man. There's been not one person that has not understood the Liverpool way, what he wants to achieve and how he wants to go about it. And I think what stands out for me when you watch Liverpool is the intensity and the work rate that they have. And when you have that, coupled with quality players that they have acquired, you know, it's only a matter of time before they have their success. And, you know, so I think, you know, it's been long, you know, overdue for Liverpool and a club of that size. But I'm just very, very pleased for them to finally lift their first Premier League trophy in 30 years.
Yeah, I mean, to add to your point as well, in terms of the mentality, you have players that you could label as superstars in Mane, Salah, Van Dijk, you know, willing to run themselves to the ground for the team, which is something that we don't see often. You usually have, you know, players that everyone's like, okay, we'll do the running for you. You know, there's no doing the running for anyone at Liverpool. You have to do the running for yourself. So, but Daniel, what about yourself from like your perspective? What would you say about Liverpool and Klopp?
Yeah, no, I'm really happy they finally won a league, because I just think it would have been a shame, because I think what you're looking at. No, listen. I don't support a top 4 side or a top 6 side, whatever you want to call it. I'm giving you the view from the outside.
Table's upside down, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's one of those ones. Like last season, for example, I really wanted them to win the league, because I've been bored of just Chelsea, Man City. I mean, for a time it was Man United, but like Chelsea, Man City, trading. I mean, apart from that Leicester season.
Really?
It was for a long time, man.
Yeah.
But it's just, I think Liverpool have been quite unlucky. Like in recent years, whenever they've had a good season, someone else has had like a brilliant season.
Yeah, phenomenal season, yeah.
It's just a bit like that front three for me, Mane, Salah, Firmino, it's legendary. And if those three didn't get a title between them, it just would have been disappointing. Because you like when you're looking back in 10 or 20 years' time, when you're looking back at nostalgia, you want to remember that front three as like a title-winning front three. Do you know what I mean? Like that's the thing I get with that Liverpool side. Obviously disappointing that Gerrard never got that to his name.
Yeah.
But just from the outside, it's good to see them win it, and it's not quite breaking the monopoly, because like Liverpool are obviously like quite a well-off team, but Man City need to know they can't win it every season.
That's true.
Yeah, well, it adds competition, doesn't it? It adds competition and it spices it up a little bit, and you know, it brings a little bit more anticipation. You know, people watch the game with a little bit more bated breath now, as opposed to knowing that when Man United was winning everything, well, it's just a matter of the scoreline. You know, and Man City come now is a matter of scoreline, but I think with Liverpool found this new style of play and the way of play, and being so clinical and playing with so much pace and assertiveness. One thing I wanted to ask you though, Harold, as a Liverpool fan, what was your thoughts when, you know, Daniel just mentioned like the front three. What was your thoughts when, you know, there was a little bit of needle between Salah and Mane?
I think at times, right, it's needed. You know what I mean? Like at times it's needed, and you know, they're grown men, and like anything in life, when you're with a group of people for such a long time, that you can't tell me there's not gonna be differences. You know what I mean? There will be times where you get annoyed at each other, and it almost reassures you of the relationship between the two of you, that you can go through something like that publicly, where Mane lost his head. He was like, this is completely unacceptable. And then get over it. It almost makes you better, because now you even trust each other even more. And you can tell from Salah's game that now he would almost rather pass to Mane than try and score himself. Do you know what I mean?
So do you think that was a watershed moment for them and the club?
Not necessarily in the sense that performance-wise, not really. But I think in terms of almost everyone realizing that, we are actually brothers and we're all going for the same thing. Yeah. It definitely, because a lot of clubs, from when I'm thinking of Fergie days, for example, there were times where he had to make a decision of someone leaving to make room for someone else. because they don't get on or they're in each other's way. And you have two players who are as important to the team as each other, who have very similar output. And 99% of the time, someone has to sacrifice themselves for the other.
But does that not go back to what we pointed out to earlier? And I think, you mentioned the Fergie days. I remember Andy Cole and Teddy Sheringham never got on.
Yeah.
They never got on. They never got on. They was not friends. They just was work colleagues. But the reason why they work so well together is the same reason why I think Jurgen Klopp and Salah and Mane worked so well together, is because they bought into what the manager was trying to do and what the ethos and what the desire of the club and ambition was about. Because I think if you don't have that, because let's face it, these guys are all top players in their own right. And we all know when we're in football, it's all about egos. How much someone might be on, how much someone might not be on, what someone is wearing, what someone's not wearing. And all these kind of things, it might sound superficial, but it all plays a fact and a part in the dressing room. And I think the way Liverpool and them two players in particular got on with it, and the way the manager handled that situation, I think was phenomenal, because at that time, for me, that's why I used the word the watershed moment, because it could have either gone completely wrong.
I want to leave one of them
or to where you guys ended up, because it's almost like this. The club and the training ground weren't big enough for the both of them, because you had Salah that just was so greedy and wanted to score. When Mane's probably thinking, I'm doing all this running for you, and you're not giving me the ball. So you can see how that can cause a sort of rift between clubs. But I think credit to the manager and Jurgen. I think he just kept all that together, and he kept a very, very tight ship, and everyone bought into it.
Yeah, you're definitely right in the sense that when there's a bigger picture and it's very clear, everyone buys into it. So and with Daniel, so talking about the other side of the league with Villa. I mean, I've watched Villa a few times, and there's been times where, even going back to that Liverpool game, they should not have lost that game. Do you know what I mean? And that 1 point could have made all the difference. So what do you think has been the biggest mistake per se, or the biggest difference between you guys maybe just being above the relegation zone and being in it right now?
You're talking about the 5-0, by the way. You're talking about the one where we lost 2-1.
The 2-1. The 2-1.
I know what you're talking about.
I think the 5-0 was closer than the 2-1,
it's the thing. It's happened a lot. And I remember telling people, look, we should have won that Liverpool game. People were like, no, come on, it's the champions.
You did. You had a very good chance at the end.
No, listen, you're 1-0 up, with 10 minutes to go against the champions. You hold that. Not the champions, or the best team in the league, right? You hold that. Right, and there's been so many times with Villa this season where they've been in winning positions against top teams, and they've just thrown it away. I don't think a team has ever thrown away as many points as Villa have. So whether there was this thing at the start of the season where whenever would go a man up, when somebody gets sent off on the other team, we had a period of time where whenever that happened, we let in a goal, or we couldn't capitalize. We've had times where we've been leading 2-1 and then lost, or then kind of lost, or been leading 1-0 and then kind of lost. And it's just kind of, it's clearly a confidence issue. I thought coming back from lockdown that without the fans there, they might be able to sort that out. Maybe it's a nerves thing. Maybe it's because they can't hold their nerve with all the fans around. But I'm beginning to think it's a confidence issue. I'm beginning to think it's an issue of the players not kind of working hard enough, or not realizing the situation they're in.
Do you think, Daniel, that the club has invested in the right type of players at Villa?
Probably not. I'll be honest. I think to begin with, I thought they brought in some good signings, right? Gilbert, for example, brilliant right back. He's gonna go far. Douglas Luiz is fantastic, but for large parts of the season, his English wasn't great, and you could see that the chemistry with the other players in the midfield wasn't great either. Wesley starting to come good, got injured. Tom Heaton, played well, got injured. But there's times on the pitch where you just don't know where the goal's going to come from. And you almost feel as though we should have invested in maybe another creative player. Maybe don't spend so much on Wesley. Maybe you know, sign a couple of creative players instead, because both El Ghazi and Trezeguet, our wingers, Dean Smith's had to take them in and out the team all season because the chances just aren't being created. But I think the main thing for me, the main problem with Villa this season is they've totally abandoned what made them brilliant in the Championship. Totally abandoned it. So Sheffield United play the same way, yeah, almost.
Yeah,
but
identical.
Villa, yeah, exactly. But Villa attacked loads in the Championship. So even when they were conceding, they were getting the goals back. But now they're sat so deep, and none of these guys are used to it, and they can't hack it because they're constantly having to handle a barrage.
Yeah, and I think when you're a team like Villa, when you're used and you're just changing your whole method and your ethos of what got you to that place, you don't have a long enough period of time to be able to change it. And I think that's why Chris Wilder and Sheffield United has been so fantastic. You know, because what they've said is, okay, we know who we are. We're not going to go and match Liverpool pass for pass or run for run or City, you know, in terms of possession. You know what I mean? Or Man United in terms of quality. So we have to have a basis of who we are, foundation of who we are. And I think that's the fundamental difference, from my opinion, from Sheffield United to Aston Villa. Aston Villa's almost turned around and said, we can play football as well. Let's play you at your own game. And, you know, unfortunately, other than Jack Grealish, I don't see anybody in that team that can actually go into that top 4 level, you know. And I think that's where they've kind of come unstuck, in my opinion.
Do you know what? There's top players in that Villa team. Yeah. So Tyrone Mings, Jack Grealish, John McGinn, all got potential to play for top teams. Yeah.
John McGinn, very good.
John McGinn's a good player. I like him.
He's a good player, but
John McGinn's a top player. Tyrone, I think he's got a bit of a concentration problem.
He does,
You know, I think he has a bit of a concentration problem. I think he likes to play from the back, and if you are that type of player, you've got to make sure you got your partner who is not that type of player. And if you both are, you're both in trouble. You know.
Yeah, and Engels has been a bit stuttery.
Yeah. You know, you can't have to be able to survive. You need a top defender, a top centre back, top midfielder, and maybe a decent forward.
Decent striker, yeah.
You know, and I think Villa's gone across and they said, you know what? Well, we can play. We're Aston Villa. We're a big club. Let's have it. And I just think, you know, that might have worked in the Championship, but I just feel that they come across to the Premier League and lost their way, and they tried to play a style of football that is not conducive to the players that they have in the team.
Yeah, you know, the thing is, they're not defending well either. You know, they're just there's lapses of concentration, and that's when it becomes hard to analyze or kind of judge what's wrong.
Yeah.
That's when you start to think about
the Premier League. Yeah,
exactly, and it makes you wonder: is it the manager? Yeah. Because Dean Smith's fantastic as an attacking manager, but when you're 1-0 up, why is it that the team then completely sit back? Completely sit back, because if you try and do that against Chelsea, what's going to happen?
Eventually,
you know.
Mike, how would you approach it? How do you think Villa should have approached it?
I always encourage teams to stick to their style. Whatever works for you, you have to continue. It's very important, because when you come into a new league, you know, if you get promoted, the idea is that you want to bring up, you want to bring better quality with you. So if you've got players that you think are Championship level but won't cut in the Premier League, that's why you maybe signed the Wesleys, Samatas, Douglas Luiz on loan, because he thinks those guys are a step up. They take us to the next level. But you can't abandon your football, because I feel like the teams
too soon.
Exactly, because I feel like the teams that have come into the Premier League and have in the past and currently now stuck out. The teams that stick out what they know, they tend to succeed better than the teams that suddenly try to change it, even in the slightest bit, because your players are so used to a style. If you now adapt it just because you're in a higher level, you think we're going to get punished against this team. Sometimes you just have to go for it.
Do you know what everybody forgets, though?
What?
Do you know what everybody forgets, though? Villa didn't really have much choice, because they had so many players at the end of their contracts. So many players who were kind of 33, 34 years old. Just weren't going to cut it in the Premier League. They had loan players like Tammy Abraham.
That's true. Yeah.
Couldn't bring back.
Big loss.
No.
Yeah.
So what are they going to do? They're going to have to put a team together.
You're right. You look at that kind of situation. You know, Tammy Abraham's a classic case. You know, he goes to a club as a reserve player, if you like, goes and has a phenomenal season, and Chelsea bring him back and go, well, that's the talent we was hoping that you will turn out to be. Thank you very much, Villa, for bringing him to the forefront for us. Now we're going to have him back. Now, how do you go and replace a Tammy Abraham? Do you go and you sign a Wesley? Wesley's going to need time to adapt.
Yeah,
Exactly.
He's going to need time to, acclimatise to the Premier League, because where he was playing football, and I can't remember where he was playing off the top of my head, forgive me.
No, it was in Belgium.
That's a completely different league, completely
Yeah.
different pace. And I guarantee you, a pound to a penny, if you saw Wesley playing out in Belgium, it'll be a top player.
Mm-hmm.
But the Premier League is so fast, it's so clinical, you don't get that extra time you might have on the ball in other teams in Europe, So I think these are all factors, but I agree with what you said. They never had a lot of opportunity in that, and I think they was kind of dealt of a card and a hand that they kind of had to deal with. But,
can I ask? Because you're a Villa fan, so you see him more than me. You know I'm going with this. Jack Grealish has been linked with many clubs.
Yes.
I didn't actually want to bring that up because I thought, it sounds like Daniel's going to be not coming back to our show.
No, it's okay. It's all good.
Watching him week in, week out, knowing the talent that he has and the potential that he has, what club, if he was to move to a team in the fabled top 6, which club do you think will suit him best, and how much would you think would be a fair fee for Jack Grealish?
That's a top question.
That's an interesting one. All right, so let me just say, since lockdown, Jack Grealish hasn't been all that good, right?
That's true.
So, but put him in a top team where he's not going to be so frustrated and he's going to have more of the ball. I like the idea of Jack at United just because I feel like he kind of suits the players around him, like Rashford, for example. You got Bruno Fernandes, and I could see him working well there, especially if Pogba's kind of as a linchpin. Liverpool, Jack would work in. He'd work well at Liverpool.
What position would you play him at United?
Central midfield.
Liverpool? Oh, what?
The Wijnaldum role.
Really?
Yeah, the Wijnaldum role. Yeah, 100%.
That's a shot. I never thought he'd play there.
Yeah, so how do Liverpool play now with Henderson, Wijnaldum, and
Fabinho.
Yeah. You play Grealish in the Wijnaldum role. I could see him working there. I wouldn't want him to go to Tottenham. He wouldn't do so well there. Not under Jose Mourinho. But yeah, any side where they have a lot of the ball and he's going to be given the freedom to carry it.
I think, just to step in there, I think Jack would be suited hands down for Manchester City.
Yeah, he would, but I don't think it's the right career move. He'll get lost in the shuffle.
For me, I mean, if that wasn't the case, I think for me, he would be so perfect to fill that David Silva role if they never had a Foden. But
that's a fair shout.
I think for me, that's the club that's tailor-made for him, because you have 90% of the ball and he will become a completely different animal to what you see now.
Do you know what the thing is with Jack? He needs to be in a team where he's allowed to be a leadership figure, because that's what he is. So if he's at Man City and he's being asked to come off the bench with 20 minutes to go, I don't think that would suit him. I really don't think that would suit him. He needs to be able to step into a side and step up. Well, so who's top 4?
Then he might have to take a Tottenham.
Yeah, potentially.
He can come to us. Listen, come here,
guys.
Come here.
We have about 8 minutes left on the meeting time, so we'll just talk about the last topic, and if it runs out and we have to come back, then we will. But so I'm just going to read a stat to you that was done today. It says players with darker skin tone are 6 times more likely to be praised for power, 3 times more for speed than white skin tone players, who are praised for work ethic and intelligence. So, Daniel, we'll start with you on that. Do you think this research will help, combat racism in football going forward, or do you think it's just, there was no need for that?
No, 100%. Yeah, it's necessary. It's needed. Look, I work in an industry where, there's always so much content being churned out, right? Match reports, commentary, live football. And the thing is, for many years, it was easy for commentators to just kind of slip into the lazy ideals of, look how pacey this guy is. Look how strong this guy is. Look how much of a workhouse Dirk Kuyt is, right? But do you ever say the same thing about, do people, praise black players for their work ethic as much? No. There's so many sort of stereotypes, negative stereotypes. I think the research found that black players or players with darker skin tones were being called kind of lazy more often, and that's harmful, very harmful. But I think it just needs to be kind of told.
Into it. And then they
do buy into it.
Pogba is lazy when their stats show that he's probably run the most on the pitch.
Bro, here's the thing about Pogba, yeah? He's such an intelligent player, but you never see him described that way.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Why is he not given that same kind of, why is he not have the classy French stereotype? That's what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
In comparison.
What do you think?
Sorry,
go on. Can you hear me?
With me?
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, yeah. I think, Dan, I think Paul was a great example. Pogba's a great example because this is a guy that has won everything there's possible to win in football. Okay? He won everything in Italy. He's won the World Cup. He is a phenomenal talent. He's gone for world record fees. But every single thing you hear about Paul Pogba from Skype analysis, people that's on Sky commentating, it's always, always, always negative. Mm-hmm. It's like they never lead with a positive. Well, Paul, he can do more. Well, wait a minute. 1 play against 11. What more can he do if the other 10 players on each side is not pulling their weight?
Yeah.
He is lazy. He can work harder. Like you said, Dan, he's probably done the most kilometers out of everybody in his team. But because of that rhetoric that they don't like him, it comes out into the commentary, And what happens is when you're sitting there watching Match of the Day or Super Sunday and you got someone like your Jamie Carragher's or whoever maybe commentate that day, constantly digging at him. Mm. What happens is subconsciously you start to believe that. Unless if you're a person that's within the game and understand football, but if you're not a Manchester United fan, you start to believe, oh, wait a minute. Yeah, you're right. Paul should have run that 100 meters and come back and run it again in the same time.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. You say, oh, can't even do that.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? So it's a rhetoric that they give to darker skinned players, which I've heard so often. I've heard so often when they describing a player of color, whether it be a chairman or a manager or any type of coach, he's big, he's strong, he's powerful. This is a black player. Okay? Can he jump? Well, not really, because he's more technically gifted. Oh, well, we got loads of him. Not at that level, though. We want someone that can run. Well, then he's in the wrong sport, chairman. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's in the wrong sport. So I was really excited about this conversation. I think this is something that I have a son that's in football at 10 years of age, right? And even now, you hear it from coaches.
Exactly.
Even now, you hear it from coaches. You
this
got
far reaching.
That might be, you got little Johnny that might not do any running. They turn around and say to him, oh, he doesn't have to run because he's so technically gifted.
Yeah.
And you got little, I don't know, maybe, let's say, Tyrone or Dwayne, that's running around like a nutter. He's just running around like what's he bring to the team? He brings nothing.
Yeah.
So you got these certain nuances that's been dropped subliminally into these boys' ears and into the atmosphere that people intend to jump onto the bandwagon, and start to believe it. So that's something that, listen, you watch football tonight. Football's on tonight. I guarantee you would have a commentator describe a person of colour in that way. And you have someone describe Jack Grealish as the next Paul Gascoigne, the best technical midfielder we've had. You see what I'm saying?
Mm.
So it's something that, for me, from as long as I can remember, it's been there. And it's been that rhetoric. And it's been even to the days of Ron Atkinson when he described Marcel Desailly.
Yeah, we'll definitely take a look because it's something that they do it. People do it without realizing. Wait, why do I keep calling him lazy? And like you said, Eddie, people watch Match of the Day. People are watching highlights, so they're picking up on these things, and then that's how they end up describing the player. So, Michael, what do you? We've got 2 minutes left, but what do you think?
You know what?
If
I'm gonna say,
we'll come back, but go on.
What I'm gonna say is that what Eddie said. See, because I'm a coach, I've been coaching for 9 years now. This is very far-reaching. Like, people don't really understand the damage this kind of stuff does. Like even me, I could if I document from when I played football from when I was a young age for a team at 11 up to now, it's only literally in secondary school was the only place where players in my school, there was a lot of predominantly black kids. It was only my school where teachers didn't refer to the footballers as powerful or this, that, and the other. Everywhere else I've been, those words, you hear them about black players, you don't hear them about other players.
Yeah.
Constantly.
That's how far-reaching it is. It's not just commentators. Commentators need to learn, yes, of course. But coaches from grassroots all the way to the top tier, they need to learn. Fans need to learn. It's so far-reaching. And because we watch football on TV, we watch Sky Sports, BT, BBC, and you hear these things, it feeds into these people's minds and they say, oh, this is how to describe a player. And it goes down to the kids as well. So if I'm coaching at Hillingdon years ago, the black boy can be balling out, but then, oh, look, his energy, he's so fast, he's so quick, he's strong. But then when the other guy, who's also good, but he's an athlete, he's big, he's strong. We had a 6'5" guy, he was like 18 years old, a white boy. Didn't hear anything about power and pace, but the guy was quick and was powerful as hell. As hell.
Yeah.
But you didn't hear that about him, you know? So it's so far-reaching. People don't seem to understand the damage that these words do. It's frustrating. For me, it hurts me to listen to these words, honestly.
Thank you so much, guys, for, gracing us with your opinions. Dan, thank you for jumping on today as well. We really appreciate it. We do hope that Villa stay up, and we'll definitely have a party here if they do. Definitely, 100%. So appreciate that. Thank you so much, guys. And guys,